When it comes to reversing diabetes, some people can see amazing results once they go to a low-carb diet in just a few weeks. But others may go a couple of months and doesn't seem like too much has changed. Why is that? And let me tell you that whatever the case, there is tremendous hope for you.
Well, I want to share some more good reports, some more good news, some coming from the 22 challenge, some coming from one individual that began before that challenge. One of these is from a lady who is my in-law. You know, when you marry an African, you are an in-law to the entire nation. So this is a Nigerian lady, although she's now living in Canada. And she says, I'm emailing you to thank you for the gift that Beat Diabetes is. Let me tell you about my story. I was diagnosed with gestational diabetes nearly 12 years ago when I got pregnant with my first child, and it progressed to type 2 diabetes by the time my son turned 1. I tried to battle it with medication, but I still wasn't happy with the results. I was getting I used to live in Nigeria. I migrated to Canada with my family in 2019. I was so sure, this is interesting, I was so sure that moving here would help me in my battle with diabetes because I would have access to more sophisticated medical care. Unfortunately, this wasn't the case. It seemed like I kept needing more medication to keep my blood sugar stable. Well, it's true that our medical care is perhaps a little advanced of what many of the African nations have. But our diet is typically worse. The Africans isn't much to brag about because they eat way too many carbs and sweets, but ours is worse still. So she's like, well, I thought moving to Canada from Nigeria, things would be better, but they're not. And so she says I was needing 4 medications. I was on 4 medications to battle diabetes. It still wasn't working. Sometimes I would look at my children and become sad because the devil would whisper to me that I wouldn't live long enough to see all that they would become. Well, that's something every parent wants, right? We want to see our children grow up, want to see them succeed in life, and to think that our life is going to be cut short is a sad thing. She says, my dad died of diabetes complications 2 weeks after his 50th birthday. So this was a real fear for me. I turn 40 next year. So if she lived to her dad's age, she only has 10 more years to live. She says, I told myself I would go into my 40s hale and hearty with my health completely renewed, but I wasn't sure how that could happen. I was on YouTube sometime toward the end of last year when I stumbled on one of your videos. It caught my attention, and I made it a habit to watch at least 2 to 3 videos every night before I go to bed. I'm glad I did because it was quite timely for me to register for the 2022 program. So here is a lady who's already motivated. She does not want to suffer the same fate her dad did, and she's going to do what she can, and when she found my videos, she got apparently excited to the point where she's watching several of them every day. Now, she registered for the program, and she's following it very closely, and she says, it's been a week. This email came in to me about a week after we started. It's been a week. I'm amazed at the results. I haven't swallowed a pill since the 1st of February. My blood sugars have stayed within the range of 5 to 7. I'm in shock. In the past, I'd wake up with a fast, and I think the 5 to 7 would be millimoles. I'm not sure. Canada has a different measurement of glucose than we do here. But she says, in the past, I'd wake up with a blood sugar of around 12 and above, even after taking 48 units of insulin the night before. So now she's staying between 5 and 7, and she's taking no insulin. Before, she was taking 48 units of insulin, and she still would be up around 12. Carbohydrates, she says, are indeed a killer. I'm thankful for this program for helping me to realize it. I pray every day for grace to stay consistent with the program. Well, I believe, my sister, you will do it, and I thank God for you. And you don't have to go the same direction that you were going, and you've made a change. And this lady is excited. I'm excited for her. May God bless her. Here's another one. It said, I went to see my doctor for my 3-month checkup in February, and my blood work was so good he told me to come back in 4 months, I guess instead of the usual 3. My A1C was 5.6. He said it was below diabetic levels. So this person says, but I'm taking insulin, so I'm working to lower my dose. Well, good for you. I'm not against insulin, but why take it if you don't have to? And if you can slash the carbs and not have to take insulin, or just eat a lot of carbs and take insulin, well, guess which one is the better choice? She says, while on this eating plan, the February menu or diet that I gave to our people that signed up for the challenge, she said, while on this eating plan, my glucose readings have dropped below 70, sometimes between 63 and 66, which is too low. You need to do some adjustment. She said, so I'm she's doing that, lowering my evening dose of insulin. Yeah, you don't need glucose in the 60s. You don't really, 85 or 90 is about ideal. Your keto cereal was amazing. It lowered my glucose from 110 to 98. Well, that's what a good meal will do for you. Sometimes your body's in such shock to have such a nice meal, and yet there's no carbs. It goes ahead and releases more insulin than it needs to, and you find when you check your glucose, it's gone down instead of up. Well, I love that, and if you do that regularly, your body will figure it out. It won't release so much glucose or insulin, rather. But it's kind of fun when your glucose levels go down instead of up. She says, I hope all the other participants are having such results. So some great reports of results, and it's too late to sign up for this challenge now, so don't try to sign up. We've limited it, but all you have to do is watch my videos, and I've got over 200 videos out there right now. And if that's not enough, look in the description. I've got a couple called Emergency Diabetes Kit and another called More Fundamentals of Diabetes, where you can pay a small amount and you can download those. You can keep those on your computer, on your phone. And those are like the key videos, I feel, that you need to really get started. I know when you look at all my videos, you say, well, he's got over 200. Where do I start? What do I do? So I've grouped together some that I feel are the most critical. Again, go into the description and take a look at that. But I also wanted to talk about the idea that not everybody's going to see the same results as quickly. And some people are going to get depressed. I love to read these testimonies and share how people are finding success quickly, and that is fairly common, but not for everybody. Some people it's going to take longer than others. So I wanted to conclude this little video by using an illustration to help make the point that we don't all get there at the same rate. Let's imagine that there's a group of friends that live in Toronto, Canada, and they get tired of Canada, and they're fed up and they want to leave for whatever reason. And they say, let's just go south. It's too cold being in Canada. Let's just go south. So they all agree. There's several of the friends that all make the same decision, but they don't want to live in the same place for whatever reason, just to keep this illustration to where it makes some sense to you. So they end up moving to different cities. One person doesn't go very far. He crosses the Canadian-U.S. border, and he ends up living in Detroit, Michigan. So he hasn't really gone very far. Another person makes it down to St. Louis, Missouri. Another person goes further south, and he ends up in McAllen, Texas. Another person says, I don't even want to live in the U.S., I'm going down to Mexico. So he's living in Mexico City. And one person who's got a lot of energy, he ends up going all the way down through Mexico, through Central America, through South America, down to the bottom in Argentina. He ends up living in Buenos Aires, Argentina. So all these friends, they keep in contact by phone, and they're living in these different places. And after about a year, buyer's remorse has set in. They're kind of tired of, and they're missing Canada. They're thinking, oh, those beautiful Canadian winters, and I just miss Canada. Another one says, I do too. And they all agree, yeah, we ought to go back to the U.S. Now, they don't have a car. None of them has a car, so they're going to have to walk back to the U.S. So you've got all these friends walking to walking to Canada. And so you got one guy walking there from Detroit, Michigan, another from St. Louis, Missouri, another from McAllen, Texas, another from Mexico City, another from Argentina, Buenos Aires, Argentina. Can you guess which one is going to get back to Canada first, back to Toronto? Yeah, that's right. It's the guy that didn't go very far south. He ended up just going to Detroit. So he's going to get there first. Who will get there second? Assuming they all walk at the same speed. The guy from St. Louis, Missouri. Who will get there third? The guy from McAllen, Texas. Who will get there fourth? The guy from Mexico City. Who will get there last? The guy that went all the way down south to Buenos Aires, Argentina. So the further south you go, the longer it's going to take you to get back. Now, what's the point of that? Most of you are sharp enough, you've already figured it out. The further you go into diabetes, into fatty liver, into insulin resistance, until your cells just can't hardly take and accept any more glucose, the further and the deeper you go into diabetes, the longer it's going to take you to get back. Now, I'm not going to say there aren't other reasons and there are mysteries to this, because there are. But typically speaking, the ones who've been diabetic the longest and have the most severe cases will often and usually take longer to get there. And I think that's especially true with fatty liver and fatty pancreas. When your organs are just loaded and saturated and steeped in fat, it's going to take a while to burn off that fat. And you may be eating a low-carb diet, and still it's going to be a struggle for you, and it's going to take longer. So the reason I'm telling you that is when I read these reports, yeah, I want to encourage people, but I don't want to discourage you by making you feel you can't get there. The guy in Buenos Aires can get to Canada. He's just going to have to walk longer, and it's going to take longer. But he's going to get there the same way the guy in Detroit, Michigan got there. He's going to put one foot in front of another, in front of another, in front of another, and just start walking. And he's going to have to take more days, more months, maybe a couple of years to get there, but he can get there. So just put one foot in front of another, and don't get too nervous, too upset, too angry. If you hear reports like this and people are finding results quickly, it may take you a bit longer. However, my personal persuasion, my personal belief is that for almost anybody, it should take less than a year to start seeing fairly normal glucose levels. And if you can go a year on a very low-carb diet and doing the time-restricted eating, and you're not much better than you were to start with a year ago, it's time, in fact, it's past time for you to get a C-peptide test and find out what's going on with your insulin production. Because there's a good chance if you've been at this for 6 months, 9 months, a year, and you're just all over the place still, and you're just struggling and just can't make it, and yet you're eating very low carb, and you're restricting the amount of time during the day that you eat, chances are you're not producing much insulin. Now, I'm not a doctor. I don't know you, so I can't say for sure. But if it was me, I'd sure get to a doctor and find out. And if it's true that your beta cells are pretty much dead and you're just producing almost no insulin, by all means, start taking insulin. There's nothing evil. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wimpy about taking insulin if you need it. But if you don't, then, of course, why take it? And you shouldn't. So again, talk to your doctor, get the necessary tests, but first and foremost, give yourself a chance to see if this won't work for you, and for most it will. All right, well, that's about it. Give this video a thumbs up if you appreciate it, if you enjoyed it, and hope you'll subscribe if you haven't. We will see you again soon. God bless.